the African Higher Education Summit in Dakar, Senegal, presented a unique opportunity for all stakeholders in the education sector to share ideas, interact, and network. The summit opened with inspiring and challenging speeches from AU chairperson Madame Lamine Zuma and President of Senegal, Macky Sall. Panel discussions saw opinions shared from employability to science and technology.
I will kindly request for the indulgence in keeping the answers as brief as possible so that we can have a value-added discussion. So for the first 45 minutes, we will be discussing an overview. We will talk about current interventions in the area, and then we will talk about some of the gaps that we have noticed with graduate employability. We will leave the last 15 minutes to talk about policies, develop some solutions so that we have a very practical discussion.
So that's really the message I wanted to give you. It reminds me of another quote from a book by a very famous mathematician, Andre Bay. It's about a judge. The judge says to the prisoner, well, it's your duty to be brief. And the prisoner answers, it is my duty to be clear. We do not have a lot of time left in Africa to fix our problems. We have to think clearly. We have to pick the initiatives that will work. And that's the measure that I can leave here. Thank you.
Sessions were interactive and highly engaging, and the delegates got into it.
I happen to be in the humanities, but I'm not standing to make a case for the humanities. I note that it's important for us to place emphasis on science and technology, the mathematical sciences. But I think it will be a mistake if we don't take a close look at the curriculum for each of these areas and put a bit of humanity in those curriculums. Otherwise, we will continue to produce engineers, medical officers who will go and service other people.
We failed to provide them the necessary educational foundation. We failed to counsel them on the choices that they had at the time they started their education. And we failed to point them to the job opportunities that existed, and we failed to hold accountable economic actors for creating broad opportunities for development of a formal economy. So, among the things we have tried to do is the following. First of all, we identified places that really were providing very good education, places that were nearby. The foundation has or is in the process of educating more than 10,000 young men and women, increased attention to women, in secondary and tertiary education at institutions in Africa, often institutions that are close to their homes in 24 different countries on the continent.
I have a couple of points that probably puts together what we heard this morning, as well as from this panel. And obviously, I think this is the moment where Africa needs to make very bold decisions. There is very little time, and therefore we have to put all that we're hearing to this morning, and probably the rest of the summit, to be able to come up with bold, action-packed decisions. One will be around how African governments will be able to put together research in their universities as well as research within the research institutions in their countries. This is going to be a bold decision if African governments can do so and come up with models that, as it were, will bring and harness research that will deal with developmental agendas of these countries. And I look forward to such actions that will make research in the universities and in the research institutions work together.
The government supplies money for research, fundamental research, but what patents you create is not owned by the government. It is owned by the university that supported you through that process. When that patent is sold, or if it comes into product, the university actually makes some money back. So there are ways of generating money, and that's one of the things I really want to emphasize here. We don't need to depend on government to do everything. We have to really depend on them. Yeah, fundamental research, but having a partnership of industry, city, and government, I think is a way to really make this work. That's really my
enrollment. With youth illiteracy still at around 50% and even higher for girls, we all agree this continues to be vital. But the time has come also to revitalize higher education in Africa. This will necessitate strategic alliances with and investment from international partners and donors. Partnerships with the private sector can overcome the mismatch between the needs of African employers and the skills of its young graduates. Otherwise, university degrees will not secure the jobs graduates expect, and that is a recipe for social and political as well as economic trouble.